Hello, ladies, gentlemen, everyone in between and beyond. My name is Taylor, and welcome to the first impressions video for the newly released Payday 3, the first-person shooter, action, heist simulator, whatever you want to call it. Now, I know it's been a little while since I've been on here. I do apologize for that. Obviously, I moved to Korea. I'm working off a laptop, so me playing new games is a little harder these days as the requirements become harsher and harsher, and this laptop is great. Runs the games I needed to for the most part, just not always the best when it comes to new games. Now, I did want to mention this partly because Payday 3 just released today at the time of this recording, and my laptop does have some struggles running it. So everything is set to low, the frame rate's not the best, so that did contribute to my admittedly terrible gameplay. I am not good at first-person shooters anymore, granted I never really was. So what you're seeing on screen is someone who's very inexperienced with both Payday itself, first-person shooters because I haven't played them in a long time, and just not the appropriate hardware for this game. So if that makes the gameplay hard to watch, I do apologize, and I do take that into account when I talk about this game. Now, as I mentioned, I do have a little bit, emphasis on a little bit, of experience with the Payday franchise. I never played Payday 1, but I did play Payday 2 for a few weeks, a couple runs with some buddies of mine way back in the day. They very much carried me in those days in terms of what we were doing, so I didn't exactly engage with a lot of the systems because Payday has just not necessarily been my thing, but I did want to check it out just for the sake of seeing how the single player experience is, because I personally hate playing with other people I don't know, and both Chris, John, or anyone else I know don't have Game Pass to play this with me. So that being said, let's actually get into the game as I've rambled on for 2 minutes. Payday 3 is the newly released entry in the Payday series, as you all know, and just at first glance, the visuals are such a marked improvement. Like, it is insane how much better this game looks than the second one. I think the biggest changes and the most welcome changes were certainly to the UI. Because I remember before with the UI, you had this big circle that would go all the way around. It was very screen-filling, very distracting. But with this iteration, you just have the small box surrounding the key that you need to press that just fills up and it gets done. It's not in the way, it's clean. But most of all, it's minimalistic. I can see what's going on around me without having to worry about this giant circle moving while I'm being shot at by police. The weapons, the masks, the costumes, everything looks really good, and admittedly, I'm sure it would run a lot better and look even prettier on a different system that wasn't running everything on low. So again, it's a nice looking game from what I could tell, decent enough frame rate for what I could achieve, but I think with a higher system, with a 30 series or especially a 40 series graphics card, you'd be running this puppy just fine. And it would look really, really good. It would be up to the standards of most, if not AAA, then probably AA games to come out in or around the early 2020s, just because I don't think it's cutting edge for 2023 and some of the other releases we've seen this year, but it's also not really slacking all that much. Moving on to the gameplay. So, I suck at first-person shooters. I've admitted that 10 times. I suck even more at stealth games. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, so you suck at stealth games, you suck at FPS games, you've barely played the Payday series. Why do this video? Partly because it felt like it, and the biggest thing that I have not mentioned yet is this is on Game Pass. It was a day one drop, and you know me, I am a shill for Game Pass. Any day, any week, any year, doesn't matter. Game Pass has been a great addition for PC, and for me personally, because it lets me experience games like this for an hour, 2 hours, even, heck, beating the game if I want to, and all I pay is a monthly fee that I can easily recuperate in terms of game hours if I so choose. So I figured, heck, I'll give this a shot. I did try playing the tutorials just so that my gameplay wasn't completely horrendous, which evidently failed. But I was only able to get through the combat tutorial because every time I tried to load up the other three, the game crashed on me. And I don't know why, it was just the other tutorials that were not working for some reason, but yeah, every time I tried to play them, just to, familiarize myself with how to blend in, how to properly secure hostages, how to release them to police, things like that, it just wouldn't work for me. And because I was playing solo, I really didn't know what I was doing. So if you are a fan of the Payday series, or if you know what you're doing, this gameplay is going to kill you. For that, I'm very sorry. But I can really see the complexity in Payday's system, and I know partly that this was in Payday 2, so I don't know how much is new and how much is kind of just the next iteration of their system. But they had a lot of systems for controlling hostages that I didn't take advantage of. I know you used to be able to tie them down. There were alerts telling me that if I gave up hostages, I could delay police assaults. So it really made me think, okay, there is a lot of tactical depth to this game as to how to control your hostages, when to release them, how best to use them as a resource so that you can do what you need to do while delaying the police entirely. And then that's only if you get caught. There are plenty of opportunities to go in stealth, which I immediately screwed up, as I will be showing on screen. I started lockpicking the side door to a bank, and then a guard just noticed me out of nowhere, and I didn't realize what was happening. I could see some sort of indicator, and I heard him say something, but it didn't click in my brain, hey, stop lockpicking, walk away. So I kept going, and then he drew his gun, and then I just shot him, and then, yeah, everything just went sideways. Which brings me to my next point. The AI, in terms of friendly AI, and I get, I'm playing alone, bad idea already. The AI is not your friend. They are decent enough at shooting the enemies, though they're a little brain dead sometimes. They throw health armor and ammo down in the weirdest spots, which I get it. They're not a human. They don't have the same instincts to put it in certain areas behind cover that humans would. But putting it in the middle of the floor, just right in the line of fire, is really not a good idea. And overall, they got in the way of my shots a lot. So, say I was firing at the police, and then they'll just walk right in front of me and then complain they got shot. Well, it's like, you walked into my line of fire. Why would you do that? So overall, the AI experience was not the friendliest, especially too when you're trying to get them to take a bag of money or jewels or anything else. You have to pick up the bag yourself and then throw it at them, but you have to be standing like right next to them. There's no, as far as I could tell, command order to get them to pick it up. And if there is, then I do apologize. I am complaining about things that I did not realize because, again, the tutorials would crash my game. And I didn't want to check this out any later just because I'm already putting the video a few days out of the release, so obviously the popularity will go down. But it also means it's just less effective for you as a prospective customer to see this video and go, oh, well, it's been 2 weeks. I either already know this, purchased the game, maybe refunded it, or really like it. So it needs to fix a lot of its miscellaneous bugs, and I don't know what was going on with that. I also had a problem in the combat tutorial where I tried to throw a bag onto a zipline. It missed and then just fell through the world, so I couldn't get it again, so I couldn't finish the combat tutorial. So there's a lot of smaller miscellaneous bugs that I've encountered that were clearly an issue in terms of either progression or just genuinely crashing the game, so that's not great. And again, the AI needs a lot of work because it is not your friend. And they wouldn't even throw the bags in the van when the escape was there. I had to run up to them, take the bags off of them, and then throw them in the van myself. Now, I don't remember if this was an issue in Payday 2, as I never played that one with AI, but if it was, that's all the more reason they should have fixed it for Payday 3. Or made the command system clearer. So I understand they have tutorials. I understand they have things that are supposed to be in place to help you learn the game. There were no tutorials for AI companions. There were no tutorials for commands that you could give them because the game was always going to assume you're playing with other human beings. And that is absolutely what I would recommend for this game. I think it can be a lot of fun. I think it can have massive amounts of tactical depth, but you can't explore those potentials fully. You can't really dive into that that ocean by yourself because you're so limited in terms of kind of what class archetype you pick, what weapons you take, and just how much you can control as one person. Because yes, you have 3 AI with you, but they don't know what you want them to do. So all in all, I think it's an interesting experience. So my first actual heist mission, super interesting experience. Did not like the AIs in that one. I liked them a little better on the second mission, which was an armored car heist. So it was kind of interesting. So we you walk through this construction site along a bridge, and the construction workers, for some reason, don't look at you, even though you walk in, guns out, masks on, like fully ready to go. And then I only had to have 2 people kneel while I put down the EMP, and then hid behind a barrier. You disable the truck. You drive it ever so slowly over to a ramp. It felt very much like an Overwatch, stay with the payload type objective, and it was painful. It moves so slowly. And I get it. They're trying to build tension. They're trying to build this satisfaction for when you actually get it on the ramp. But it was so annoying. Just having, and it's a wide circle. They made the wise decision of it to be a wide circle. It was still just so frustrating and tedious to try to get it over that stupid ramp. And then you break in through the bottom and steal the goods. Now, I made the foolish mistake of thinking, just load up money or the precious jewels and then, go throw them over the helicopter and you'll be fine. When, of course, we were there to steal the diamonds. We were there to steal those precious jewels, not the cash. The cash was a bonus. So, meanwhile, I'm throwing in cash bags and wondering, okay, why is my percentage not going up? Before I realize, and it takes one of the, not idle lines, the kind of generic lines from one of the NPCs to say, hey, don't forget the jewels or the client's going to pay really well for these jewels. And it's like, oh yeah, that's what I'm actually here for. So, again, that was me being dumb. But I feel like there should have been, with the percentage indicator, just a little bit of text saying, jewel bags collected, or something to give me that visual reminder of what I'm actually trying to collect outside of just a percentage bar, which I get confused as to why it isn't going up when I'm throwing in cash bags. A little bit of text or a little bit of contextual information, like I did end up getting with the voice line, can go a long way to helping the player just stay on track, stay focused, and understand what they're really trying to do. Now, what was kind of cool is, in addition to the 2 missions that I did run, I also got some cutscenes, or rather, watched some cutscenes, which laid out a pretty, I would assume, bare bones and kind of gets maybe a little better story. I don't know how much story influenced the first 2 games. I don't know how heavily those story elements were presented, though I do know that it is, the Payday Gang, the same recurring characters, even though we don't see their faces. So for me, there was a little bit of connection there, and it was kind of nice to see they made an attempt, if not a good attempt, at trying to bring in a story and kind of stitch different heists together. But I have no idea if its continuity makes sense with the first 2 games, or if anything is fallen out of place, so that it is definitely not my wheelhouse. Which brings me to my last bit of information, and that's actually the loadouts that I mentioned earlier, or the kind of class system. So I remembered this was semi-present in the second game, where you kind of decide, did you want to carry the ammo, did you want to carry a med bag, did you want to carry armor plating, you could choose, or did you want to maybe carry a turret or something, more of a heavy gun style. You could sort of choose what role you played, and it feels like they very much expanded on that system with this game, where you are genuinely, not necessarily speccing into a class, but speccing into a play style, and you have to research different play styles and then just figure out, okay, what is going to work best for you, though they do all have kind of that air of utility to them, because, again, this game is not expecting you to play solo. This game is expecting you to play with, 3, 4, as far as I understand it, 5 other people, because there's 6 members of the gang, so I would assume you can have 6 people, and really, they want you to be utilitarian in supporting your crew, in supporting the people alongside you. So there's no one who's going to really have, any class that stands out as this is the one you play for solo, or this is the one you play when you want to be the center of attention. It's this is the one you play when you want to support your teammates in this way, or in this way, or in this way. And it was interesting enough, though it did lead me into one more problem I had, which is the matchmaking. Now, because I was trying to play by myself, I had to go with private matchmaking. And I don't know if I was just missing something or if there just genuinely is not an option. I had to wait for 5 minutes every match for the game to figure out, okay, I'm not inviting anyone. No one else is coming. Let's just throw them in with some AI. And I looked, I did not see a, start match or skip selection button or anything like that that would help me move on to the actual game any faster. I just had to sit there for 5 minutes and wait, which is, so much fun. But yeah, all in all, it's going to be bringing me to the kind of the ending of this first impressions video. I did put in about hour and a half, 2 hours, so roughly the amount of time you would get to have it for on Steam before you'd have to refund it, which is kind of what I shoot for, just to make sure I know what people are really getting into, and people kind of have a better idea before they purchase on Steam and have to refund it, or feel like they have to. I think Payday 3 is a fun game, and like many games of this genre, of this style, it's better with friends, but you already knew that. So for me, it was just a way of kind of getting back into the first impressions, swing of things, but also to check out an interesting game that I thought, okay, maybe I'll get into this solo, and it just, you know what, it's not for me. It's got a bunch of progression in terms of the guns, the classes, the masks, and everything like that, but it is very much a multiplayer game. So I would absolutely recommend getting this through Xbox Game Pass on PC if you have it, but also I don't feel bad and I don't feel hesitant at all to recommend it on Steam either. I know with the first Payday, or rather Payday 2, the developers supported it for years and years and years with new events or new things added to the game. So I do think that this one, at least I have to hope, is going to be the same level of support that they've shown the previous games, which again is years and years and years of new content, and just a lot of fun to just kind of sit down and play casually with a couple buddies. So yeah, all in all, I do think Payday 3 made away with the bag. They got the money, if not all of it, and I would absolutely recommend you pick it up on Steam, on Xbox Game Pass, if you have friends who are willing to play with you, and if it's your kind of game. With all that being said, thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, everyone in between, for watching and or listening to this pretty rambly, kind of out there first impressions video. I do promise to have a lot more of these in the future. I'll see you next time. Bye!